Hello everyone, welcome to Random Act of Squirrel. Today, Act 7, Acts of Novel Formulations. So we're talking books and graphic novels and stuff today. Down the Rabbit Hole, the Usagi Yojimbo Saga collections. So today I got up and I was rudely awakened by life about a couple hours earlier than I planned and kind of got in a bad mood and had a hard time removing my head from my butt for most of the day. I wanted to record, and I realized I had one idea, which is probably on a day when I'm in a better mood, or at least when I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. So I decided, you know what, I want to do something fun. So I started digging through my shelves and thinking cool stuff that is like a fallback. I love it, and it's something that'll make me feel happy and something that I think everyone should know about. So today we're going to talk about, well, here's book one of it, this guy. Usagi Yojimbo. So if you are of a certain age, you probably know him most likely, I'm going to say, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He had a few crossover things in the comics, and he also had a little bit of, I don't know, he's seen in a couple places, but he's one of the coolest characters of everything I've read for comics. Another day I'm going to walk into like how I fell into comics. I went from having almost no comics when I was a kid to finding a comic shop when I was in college, and after a number of years, I think my collection got to like 14,000, and then I weeded it down to about 7. So yeah, I love comics given the choice. I liked comics before they were cool. I knew a lot of the stories before the Marvel stuff came through, and sometimes I actually fell into really cool stuff that I didn't plan on. I ended up actually buying Batman Harley Quinn, which is the first canon issue of Harley Quinn into the Batman universe, and I guess that's worth something now. I just got it at the time because I was collecting it. I liked the character, and there you go. Apparently, I have a valuable comic. Most of my other stuff, I think the nostalgia is worth more than the actual book value. But I digress. It might be a digress day. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the background of what it is, show some of the art. Underneath, there's an independent spirit that I wanted to tip into also, so it's probably like part 2. And part 3 will be kind of closing up in the review. So Stan Sakai is a guy who makes Usagi Yojimbo. He's been doing it off and on since the early 80s. He's done it through several different companies. He's done it through, started off in a small little indie company called Thoughts and Images, Fantagraphic Books, Mirage. They're the ones that made the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Dark Horse for a large number of years, and then IDW, which is a comic book company. I hope they're still around because I still want comics to exist. But they did property run comics, so they did a run of like G.I. Joe, Transformers. They buy the rights to use the characters and then make the comics. According to Wikipedia, and they said as of 2016, there's over 219 issues of that he's written and done. And one of the cool things about it is it's a complete independently owned character. So unlike your Marvels and your DCs and your Image stuff, which that's still kind of independently owned, it's just more like a cooperative or collective company. He's always done his own thing. So when he sells to like Dark Horse when they run, he owned all of the rights to the characters and things like that. Versus, if you, I don't know, maybe one day I'll walk down the rabbit hole, but the people who created Superman, Simon and Schuster, Joel Simon and forget it's something Schuster, I don't remember. They actually didn't make much money on it because they sold it basically outright to him. And so while Superman making buku bucks, they essentially became employees to the machine that made them famous. And so they later got some money back for it. But one of the things that made Usagi unique is he never sold the rights over. So as he was doing it, he could take his comic and move it into different places. If the deal was not working right or the contract was different, he could go to different places and continue drawing his comic. Another thing that's unique about his comic is it's not since it's only him, it's kind of like following one man's adventure as he goes through stuff, and we'll go through with the content here in a second or two. But so as he's writing it, he gets fascinated by a story, and then he takes 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes of the story arc, and then weaves individual episodes that lead into a bigger story arc. Probably the most famous one that was discussed is Grass Cutter, where he talks about the sword that's kind of, the story has a Japanese feel because it's samurais and stuff like that, but it's got a King Arthur touch to it. And it talks about how the sword was made and how it got to the places that it did, introducing characters. As I was reading the story, I was kind of like, why is this the greatest story? And by the end, I was absolutely blown away by it. So, as pointed out, this is Usagi. I'll get close so you can see him. Usagi is a ronin, meaning he is a samurai without a leader. His leader died in battle, and so now he wanders the plains, and kind of like if you're old enough to remember Kung Fu, the way David Carradine would just wander around and do stuff, that's the base of the story. So he goes around, he's a master swordsman, he's now trying to figure out where he belongs in the world, and just falls into different adventures. He's got different kinds of people he hangs around with. He's got thieves that got better hearts than you think. One of his regular buddies is a rhinoceros named Gen, and mostly he just likes to eat and things like that, and they tend to spar off each other a lot more. He's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's definitely more self-interested. There, with 200 or so episodes, the best way to really dive into it is these. So like here's one, which I've shown several times. I have 3 of them. 2, 3. I think there's 7 of these. These collect the Dark Horse series, which starts in, it's the biggest meat of all of them. And this probably has most of the classic stories. The art is very cool. Let's see here. The way it moves is really neat. Let's see if I can find a fun page quick here. It's got a bit of that early Carl Banks, who is the guy who did, if you think of like classic Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald Duck stuff, he's kind of famous for that. But the art, it's really vibrant. When it was originally released in the independent actual comics, it is colored, but then they collected it into books, which is how I read most of them, and then they collected into this. They took the color out of them. The art is just, it's gorgeous art. I love it. It's simple, it's expressive. The way the characters interact is neat. Another part that I like about it is it's set in the Edo period in Japan, which is somewhere between, check my notes again, between the 1600s to about the 1870s. And it's called Edo because that's what Tokyo was known before, and that's where the leadership was. And so he's this wandering ronin, and he constantly taps into Japanese history. He himself is part Japanese. I don't know if he's all Japanese, but I know he lives in Hawaii and he has Japanese heritage. And so he taps into the myths, the legends, the history. Sometimes he'll divert into completely like one whole episode or issue, which gets compiled into like a chapter in this book, is about how they made the swords. It's very fascinating. It moves really well, and you're thinking, how can an episode about making a sword be compelling? And it is. It's accessible for, it's deep enough for adults, but it's clean enough for kids. So like when things die, let's see if I can find a page where things die. Oh, let's see here. Just, I don't know, the art, look at it. It's so cool. The way it moves and everything. Part of what also inspired me to start talking about this is something I'm not ready to do yet because I'm only 3 episodes into it. I think the best television media that's occurred this year might be One Piece. I'm not a big fan of anime. I'm smart enough to know that anime is the thing that you watch and manga is the stuff that you read. I know it exists. I know that the rest of the world, outside of basically the United States and any Americans more or less born before Pokemon, everyone pretty much knows anime and manga, except for those people. And I was pre-Pokemon, so never really was my thing. But One Piece is absolutely amazing, and I want to do a full review of it, but I also needed to get down a rabbit hole, and so I went to my lucky rabbit. The books themselves are pretty inexpensive. They are, let's see, about $30. This is huge, and it's worth every penny. Let's see here. I almost wrote on my tag board with the wrong pen. I would have been very unhappy. So I guess what I like. Let's see here. I like all of it, but I want to give you something honest. Let's see. All access. Or all accessibility. That sounds like a horrible word, doesn't it? Art. And do I want to add anything else here? So what I like about it is the accessibility of it. It doesn't matter what age you are. You could read this with your kids, and it's compelling because of the art, and you can read it as an adult because you have the myths and legends tapping into, and there's intrigue, and the characters have that sort of old mythic legend kind of quality to it. The art, I think, is absolutely awesome. The way it moves through action sequences, and it's so easy to follow, and it just looks really nice. And I love all the characters. The characters are very simple. He uses the animal qualities of them to accent the next parts of what he's trying to show. This is going to sound really, really dopey. I really don't have anything I don't like about this series. I really don't. Maybe if you get online, you can find some stuff to look at to see if you care first, so you don't fully invest into it. Or if you're a library person, a lot of times the libraries have collections of it where you can get the smaller books. Quality of it, all this stuff, I would give it 10 out of 10. And if you're making amps out of it, it's 11 out of 10. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you had fun with this. I know I enjoyed being able to share this with you. I know I needed it today, so check it out. If you have any other fun comic stuff that you like or you really grew up with, stories that really stuck with you, definitely share on it. I haven't mentioned it yet, but if you like this, please subscribe. I'm still trying to grow it. I'm still sitting at 4. I want to grow more. And I had a few more views since the last one, but slow and steady. At least that's what they keep telling me. So I guess instead of going rabbit speed, bad pun, sorry, I guess I get to go tortoise speed on building all of this. And so slow and steady will get there. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Like it if you like it. Comment and tell me what you're thinking here. Or subscribe if you haven't yet. Have a good day.